Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is a 1956 Dodge Regent. There aren't many of these around. It's a big car, I have to get really far back to get in shot. There aren't many of these cars left, nor information on them. And really the only thing I can go by is this pattern on the side. Some Plymouth shared it. This car was purchased, same like the Datsun. It was purchased by my grandfather, and he was working on it up until he couldn't, and now it's sitting here. It sadly does not run, but I am trying to get it running slowly but surely. There's a few things wrong with it. For one, there's no rust actually on this. There's a few random bits though. That's where I assume an antenna should go. The interior is a little bit cluttered, but it's still really solid. The metal on this is so thick, like right here, that's about 1/4 of an inch deep, and it's still solid. It just shows how strong these cars were built. This does not have the original engine, sadly. This has, I think it's a 5.2 liter Magnum out of a Dodge D150. It's a huge engine though. Same with the radiators. I've never seen a radiator this big. It goes from the top there, I think, like all the way to the bottom under here. Yeah. Massive. It probably holds a few gallons. Yeah. And the 5.2 liter engine. The reason why I haven't been able to get this running is because it has fuel injection, and all of the modern electronics from the Dodge D150 was taken out of. My knowledge of cars stops once you hit the 80s. So if this was carbureted, it'd be running right now, but it's not. So same with the distributor, it's all electronic. And I've only ever driven in this once when my grandfather took me to town in it. And I just remember him flooring the gas pedal, or putting it right to the firewall, and the entire car tilted like this. It was strong. There was a lot of power to it. The interior, there's a few wires around. We're still trying to figure everything out. I left some of my tools in here, just general stuff. And these are the wiring diagrams to this. Not the easiest thing in the world to follow, but you can kind of follow it. The gauges. I always like how all these gauges look, they're so cool. And it's column shift. It has an automatic now, and I'm pretty sure it had an automatic, well, it must have, yeah. Had an automatic before. We have a sticker, or a magnet, covering up the radio where it used to be. And I think that's where the ashtray used to be. But none of these gauges work. The gauges right down here. Inside of the glove compartment is where all of the gauges are. Battery gauge, temp gauge, speedometer. I think it has a tripometer, yeah. Oil temp, I think that's what my friend said. Or oil pressure it should be. And fuel. The fuel gauge is not working, it's not hooked up. And I think, yeah, ignition's over there now. I think, yeah, the handbrake still does work, I believe. All of the lights in this work, which is really surprising. Like, all of the turn signals, hazards, brake lights, all of that stuff works. Same with the high beams. And This car is old enough to the point where it has a switch on the floor right here for the high beams, which is really cool. Also has the tag right there. I think, yeah, this is not the original seat either. This is just, I don't even know what this is out of, but it's still comfy regardless. Back here, there's even more room and more parts. Some ATF, seafoam, a lot of wires, and I think this is the original ignition, like the key that you turn. I think this is that, which is pretty neat to see how they did it. It's a big mess now, but still pretty cool. This is a big car, and I love this car. I searched it up, and the engine says 13 miles to the gallon. I can believe that. This car is huge. But it actually weighs less than my Jeep over there. So, who knows, I might be able to get better mileage than that. There's no rust on this, besides for like the paint. That's just patina, it's just where the paint's decayed. These wheels, my grandfather said, are from a Lincoln. Don't know if that's true or not. Underneath, it's still solid because this spent most of my life at a body shop. So underneath, it's pretty good. I don't know if you can see under there because I can't. This has dual exhausts. They come out the side. There's one over there. And I have a little story about that. One day, me and my grandmother were at town, and when we came home, Grampy said that it was having trouble starting. But when it did start, it made a bang. The car was sitting here. This should be grass from here to here. Fuel flooded into the exhaust, and when it lit up, it took the ground with it. So now we have a little crater as a memory. And I think there's that little dead spot right there. That's also from it. Very fun car though. No. I'll get you on the stand, I'll show you the trunk. Now the trunk, it's held in by a turnbuckle that just happened to fall apart right there. There is a key inside of that shed, or a lock inside of that shed that I'm gonna switch it out with though. The trunk in this is absolutely huge. Sitting in here, I could sleep in here. Like it's huge, it's bigger than my bed. Which continues the stereotype of 50s cars having really big trunks, because the gas tank fits in here. We have toolbox, random parts, wires, tools, and you could still fit 3 people in here if you wanted to. It's absolutely massive trunk. Like, if the Datsun is 5 feet wide, this trunk alone is 5 feet wide. You can fit a lot of stuff in there, and that's why I like sedans. They always have big trunks. So, I don't think there's much else to show. The gas tank is hooked up, the fuel cover. Really strong, it'll take your finger off if you're not careful. But my grandfather hooked it up, and the fuel pump had some issues. And I don't think, the fuel line, or the fuel gauge isn't hooked up, so that doesn't work, which is a shame, but it's huge in here. That's a fuel filter over there, fuel line going up. The fuel pump is not connected to what it should be anymore. This is the switch for the fuel pump. That is a light switch. I'm not a good wirer, but I did manage to get that going. So, if it works, it works. We still have to do a little bit back here, but the fuel pump works. We do have fuel in this. The engine turns over. The injectors work. The only problem is there's no spark. Now, the engine that this is from had an auto shut-off relay, or an auto shut-down relay. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but it's auto shut something off. Anyway, what that does is it turns off 3 different things. That being fuel pump, spark, and I don't remember what the other one was. But we got the fuel pump working. Problem is we still don't have spark, which is what we're trying to do right now. I can't get over the size of this car though. I have to walk back by like 10-15 feet just so I can get this in shot. Massive car. And even sitting inside, there's still so much room. The doors close beautifully. There's so much room back here. It echoes a little bit too. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's pretty cool. No powered steering in this, obviously. The steering wheel is absolutely huge. But that's why it's cool. I think the window on this side does go down. Never mind. It did go down. Have the little side windows that don't open apparently. That side has them too. They even have them in the back, which is really cool. I don't think I ever noticed that. Sun visors too. It's a really cool car. No safety equipment in this either. This came, I think, 2 years before seat belts were even a thing. So if I get in a crash, the car will be fine. But this is a solid steel rod. That's the steering shaft right there. That's just a steel rod. So if I do crash, the car will be fine. I won't be alive anymore. But other than that, it's fun. It's such a big car. Like a few years ago, I could barely hit the pedals in this. Even still, I have to scoot forwards a little bit on the seat. A lot of wires, big mess. I still love closing the doors every time. They close like vault doors. There's no struggle with them at all. Same with the hood. Hope you enjoyed this introduction of the Dodge. See you in the next one.